That's right, people. We're going to help you knock them out there. We're Tankers Fantasy Football back at you. We're going to give you some running back rankings. And I know there's so many to talk about, so we're going to do a part one. This episode, we're going to focus on them AFC backs here.
We're going to go all AFC backs, and then we're going to rank them. You know who the cream of the crop is in the AFC, and that is undoubtedly Le'Veon Bell with David Johnson and Elliott both in the NFC. It is hands down Bell as the number one back in the AFC right now.
I mean, this guy averaging over 100 yards on the ground of the game. He only played what? Played 12 games due to suspension.
And then they held him out week 17 for the playoff run.
So this guy's going to he almost got 1,300 yards on the ground. He got you 7 TDs. He had 6 games over 100 yards rushing.
I mean, 5 yards a carry. This guy's getting it done. 75 receptions in 12 games. You know what that is in 16 games, people?
That's 100.
100.
Triple digits.
That's
as a running
100.
back.
2 more receiving touchdowns. He averaged 6.5 receptions a game. Just a shade over 6.5 receptions a game. I mean, my goodness, PPR.
This is the number one guy, no matter what, on any board, whether it's standard, PPR. I mean, this guy, if he plays a full season, there's no way he's not the number one fantasy player.
I know 9 touchdowns isn't something to sneeze at, but we're talking about 9 touchdowns. We're talking about possibly the number one PPR fantasy running back. If he can get those touchdowns up into that elite category of those 15, 16 touchdowns, I mean, watch out. We might be talking about what Damian Tomlinson of the sexy time about 10 years ago numbers, 2006.
It's still 9 touchdowns for missing a quarter of the season. I mean, that's talking 12, 13 touchdowns. That's getting it done.
Right, it's getting it done. I mean, it's just how much he is used. I mean, he was playing against me last year. I think it was on Thursday. I don't know, one of them primetime games. I watched 6 out of 7 plays in a row he touched the football on a drive. I was like, are you kidding me? Stop.
Now, there's 2 guys that I feel like you could go either way with for the second and third backs of the AFC. So we got LeSean McCoy and we got Melvin Gordon. Of course, we talked about LeSean McCoy last year. We were high on him, talking get him in the 3rd round. He's cutting weight. He looks like the old Shady. Shady is back, and he delivered for you. Over 1,200 yards. This guy put up what? How many touchdowns do you have?
14 total touchdowns. 13 on the ground, 1 more through the air. I mean, we're talking 700.
700 touchdowns.
We're talking 7 games over 100 rush yards and 50 receptions. They're talking about even throwing him the ball more this year. We're talking about maybe getting him up into that 70 reception range like he was in his first couple years in Philadelphia.
He really doesn't have any competition in the backfield this year either.
Yeah, got rid of Gillislee. I mean, this guy was off the chain, people. I mean, my goodness. What does he even have? He's like 5.4 yards a carry on the season. I mean, my God. I mean, Buffalo Bills, they know he's getting the ball and he's still wiggling his way through there, and it's amazing. He was the old Shady. And I think in redraft, for me, you got to go Shady over Melvin Gordon.
And me, I'm taking Gordon slightly above Shady, even though either one I think you can't be wrong with. But this guy is a touchdown machine. Again, they're going to, especially, he's been catching the ball a lot more since Woodhead went down. He looks like a natural pass catcher. This guy had 10 rushing touchdowns. He didn't get the 1,000 yards, but then again, he only played practically 12 games.
Yeah, he went down early in that Week 14 game, so he really only got you like 12 full games out there.
But still, in 12 games, he gets you 12 touchdowns, gets you 1,000 yards rushing, another 400 in receiving, and the only thing that scares me is his yards per carry.
His yards per carry is a tick below 4 at 3.9 yards per carry, and he only had 300-yard rush games last season. I mean, we're talking about number of 100-yard rush games. We're talking about guys like Isaiah Crowell having more 100-yard rush games playing for the Cleveland Browns than you did last year. And I don't know, it kind of scares me taking him over. I mean, I know in Dynasty or Keeper League, you probably have to go Gordon, but in those straight redrafts, I'm feeling the Shady.
One thing that does scare me, we talk about the 3.9 yards a carry here. It kind of reminds me of Gurley of his rookie season, where if he didn't hit those home runs, he really didn't have that big of games. And Melvin Gordon hit the home runs for it. But the one thing that Melvin Gordon has going is he's got Phillip Rivers at quarterback instead of Case Keenum or Goff or whoever they try and throw out
And,
there.
you know, Gordon's leaving. He's moving cities. You know, that might throw a little wrench in the situation. I think the safer play in redraft is McCoy. And now we get a little more into the dark. I mean, those top 3 dudes in the AFC are
I
pretty...
think they're set in stone. Those top 3.
They're definitely set. And now we're getting a little more slippy here. And guys like Lamar Miller, who was going in, like, early second, mid-second of these 12-teamers. And, I mean, he just let you down last year. Looks pedestrian. I mean, I'm looking at this 4.0 yards per carry, and I'm thinking, how the hell did he even accomplish that? I thought it was definitely going to be 3 points up. I couldn't believe my eyes.
It was really, he might have had like one explosive run all year. And the thing that shocked me the most is he gets all these touches. In Houston, you knew they were just going to feed him. And he only gets you 31 receptions on the entire year.
I thought that was going to be, I thought he was going to be a PPR
I was
back.
thinking at minimum 60.
I mean, 31 receptions for only 188 yards, too, so it's not like he's grinding. He's only getting you, like, what, 6.7 or so yards through the air. I mean, that's not really getting it done out there. And only had, what, 6 total touchdowns. Didn't even get in the end zone until week 6 for you last season. I mean, I'm pumping the brakes. I mean, what? Only what's another bet? Only 4 receptions twice, and they were both in the first 3 weeks. I mean, this guy is just not getting it done.
Yeah, the first few weeks, it kind of looked like you had a nice floor running back who was probably going to be your RB1 with a very solid, like, double digit, no matter how bad he does, just due to his workload. But it just got worse and worse. And really, if you're looking at Lamar Miller, where he's drafted, I'm considering taking the next 2 backs, maybe the next 3 backs. We're talking about beast mode, Marshawn Lynch. We're talking about Fournette. I mean, we got videos of beast mode. Look at teammates look silly out there.
I mean, come on, Lamar. You're talking about give me a Jaguar rookie and give me a guy coming out of retirement.
That's reality.
Over you. And I'm serious. I'm down with doing those things. That is crazy.
Hey, take a look at
Beast Mode looking spry in the OTAs, baby.
Good. I mean, they brought him in there. They're going to feed him the rock. You take a look at, in my opinion, the second best offensive line in the NFL behind the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah. Beast Mode's getting that. If Beast Mode can stay healthy and get that rock 250, 300 times, I mean, look out. We might be talking about top 5 fantasy back. I don't see why.
I mean, right now he's going like 4th, 5th round. So if you're doing that no receiver, or if you're going to 3 straight receivers, the no running back technique, I think he's your boy. But if he has a good camp and even a good preseason, I mean, he might sneak up into that 3rd round there. I know it sounds crazy.
And you try to Jaguar rookie over you, and I'm feeling it. Hey, look at
of Jags rookies, we got my boy on East Bay. I mean, look at him. You can't convince me that this guy is less than 30 years old.
More him. Oh, he coming to pick up your daughter for a date, and you're like, dude, you's at least 30. I mean, my goodness. What is going on here?
But I think this guy can be a legitimate RB1 as a rookie.
Oh, even for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think they're looking to bear down.
It's a new regime. They got Tom Coughlin. They got Doug Marrone. They're sick of Blake Bortles throwing it 40 times a game. I think it's going to be Forte, even on 3rd downs. Yeldon caught 50 balls last year, but Doug Marrone really likes what he's seeing with Fournette as a receiver. So I think he can definitely win the 3-down back job easily.
And moving on, also might take this guy over Lamar Miller. My goodness, now we're talking about Cleveland Brown backs.
I mean, that's crazy.
Isaiah Crowell, but you're looking at Isaiah Crowell. I know he was the 13th ranked PPR running back last year, but they are talking about running it more. I mean, he didn't even carry the ball 200 times, and he was the 13th PPR running back.
And he averaged 4.8 yards a carry. His offensive line got better in the offseason. It's hard for me to get on it, though. I don't know if
I can't fall in love with it. I just can't.
I don't know if it's drafting a Brown in the first 3 rounds or if it's this guy having no common sense.
I just don't like the cut of his jib or something. I don't know what it is.
Cutting cops in the throat.
I don't know. I just don't. I mean, the guy got, only like 3 less receptions than Duke Johnson did last year? He got 40 receptions for you. I mean, 4 20-point games, and 2 of them were week 16 and 17. So if you held on those little roots and you had him in the championship game after he laid that week 15 egg for you, I mean, he did it for you week 16, and if for some reason you play week 17, he did it for you then too. But, I mean, going on talking about Isaiah Crowell, I mean, go ahead and draft him and feel okay about it, I guess.
I feel like at third round,
I feel like his floor is
tough.
okay. Because Duke Johnson, in my eyes, is dead. So I feel like his floor is at least okay for you.
I would feel a lot better if it was the 4th or 5th round. Third per round price is a little steep.
It is, but the third round's kind of a dead zone, though, this year.
But that's the thing. Third round is a stretch for any guy, I feel like. So, I mean, this guy is a guy who could sneak up in that potential top 10, top 12 running
Yeah,
back.
I mean, if he was 13th running back last year,
With less than 200 carries.
less than 200 carries, and they talk. I mean, if the Browns can stay in football games and they can give him the rock 250 times, I don't think there's any way he's not a top 10 running
There's
back.
just so many times where if you're a fantasy owner, it's frustrating because he only had single-digit carries just because they're so far out of the game and having to hug and chuck it the whole
afternoon. It's so hard to know what to do with the Cleveland Browns. It's frustrating, but moving on. Maybe this guy, another won't die warrior out there, and
grinds and pounds.
oh, I mean, it was looking like he might be dying out there, though. Frank Gore, I mean, he only had 2 games over 100 yards, but he was getting it done, especially early on
This
for
is
you.
a guy who, you look at his season-ending stats, he looks like he does okay, but in a week-to-week basis, just doesn't cut it.
He had 7 touchdowns in the first 9 weeks. Then he only had 1 in the last 7 games. I mean, that's fallen off the shelf for you. In 4 of his last 6 games, he had single digits in PPR. I mean, that's hurting you in your playoff run. I just think maybe the wheels are coming off, and I don't know. I kind of like that rookie they got in Marlon Mack out there in Indianapolis.
Not only Marlon Mack, they got Christine Michael to throw a flyer on, but Marlon Mack, this is a guy they're saying could be like a Tevin Coleman type of back. He's explosive, good in the open field, and really, they're looking to throw the ball anyway, so he's probably going to be the third down back. And, I mean, Frank Gore's not getting catches anyway, but if he looks explosive and looks like he can do something, I think 34 years old, I think, Frank Gore, 32 or 34. I mean, I think he'll be pushing up on carries for him here.
All right, we missed 2 guys. We got to reverse it, flip it, go back before Lamar Miller. These are ranked 4 and 5 from the AFC. We're talking about Jay Ajayi and DeMarco Murray, and I am sorry, but I forgot to flip it, and we missed 2 guys out there. But we're bringing them in now. And Ajayi, I mean, if Pouncey's on the field, Ajayi is looking fierce. So they lost Pouncey, and Ajayi only really had that one sexy game against the Buffalo Bills again. I mean, the guy had 3 200-yard games.
Talking about the murdering OJ out there.
And tying the murderer out there, 3 200-yard games in a season. But if you look at it, he only had 1 other game over 100 yards. I mean, that's kind of hurting out there. But they are talking about throwing him the ball more, getting that 27 receptions, maybe up in the 40s or something. That'd be feeling pretty good about yourself. And I don't think there's any question he's the clear goal line back of this on this team now. And I think he's the clear first and second down back. And if they're talking about getting in some more looks, maybe he won't lose as many third and longs out there. And I mean, the AFC is just so thin, and I'm just going to give him the nod over DeMarco because I'm just a little bit afraid of the Derrick Henry situation.
Yeah, late in the season, Henry really started getting some goal line touches, and even this year it sounds like they're going to be getting close to splitting 50-50. Not only does Henry kind of push up on him, but the injury situation, it's just hard to believe that he's going to be healthy 2 straight seasons.
Yeah, he's had 6 seasons. He's only played 16 games twice. One's last year, one was that year he blew it up
With
for the Cowboys. And he had 293 carries last year, which is toting the load. I mean, that is toting the load, adding another 53 receptions. So we're looking at 246 total. I mean, 346 total touches and 1,287 yards and 9 touchdowns on the ground, and added another almost 400 yards.
Don't forget the touchdown passing as well.
So we're looking at 13 total touchdowns with the 3 on the air, the 9 on the ground, and the 1 in the throwing it. And
That's talking to LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah, he was a sexy boy deluxe. If you went out there and you drafted him in that 4th round where he was going to those 12 team leagues back there, he won you money. I know he won me money. I had McCoy and him double down sexy deluxe. Rebirth. He came back. It's over. 4.4 yards a carry. I mean, which is, good, but not great. 500-yard games. I mean, here's the only tick. You were living off those receptions early, but 35 of his 53 receptions came in the first 9 weeks. He only had 18 in the last 7 games, which isn't really that good of a PPR situation. And I just think Derrick Henry is going to be more of a 50-50 split going forward.
Yeah, Derrick Henry, 4 of his 5 touchdowns came in week 12 or after. So late in the season, they were starting to pound it out to him.
Oh, for sure. Well, look at now we're going to go back to the guys that are on the rise again, going back down.
Talk about some guys who we got a little Gillislee out there coming over from Buffalo, potentially being the back to own in New England.
I think so. If they're going to give him first and second down work, if they're going to give him the Garrett Blunt work, I say there's no way Mike Gillislee isn't an RB2.
I like that call,
A solid RB2.
Who knew that Gillislee had 8 touchdowns last year? A backup running back.
9, one through the air too.
9 total touchdowns for a backup running back.
5.7 yards per carry on 101 totes. I mean, that is getting it done, people. I mean, he only had the 9 catches for the 50 yards, but that's kind of a Garrett Blunt style too. I mean, he's not kind of
right.
catching
You
the
got
ball.
That's where kind of the James White and the Deion Lewises are going to get their value. I think James White definitely has more value than Deion Lewis. They're talking about Deion Lewis like really, really laying back on his touches. James White blew it up in the Super Bowl. I don't expect him to do that every game.
Yeah,
but
erase that from your memory. Yeah, don't even think about that when you go into your draft. The last memory of James White is delusions of grandeur.
But I think in PPR standards, I think James White could return some value. But I think Gillislee really is the back to own. I am not.
And if you want to get a late round like PPR flyer guy that you're looking to just stash and maybe start on bye weeks, I mean James White isn't the worst. That's okay.
Or even a little Rex Burkhead out there.
A little sexy Rexy maybe. Another guy we were just talking about with DeMarco, with Derrick Henry, we think he's on the rise. He only had the 110 carries last season for 4.5 yards a carry, and he had the 5 touchdowns, but 4 of those 5 touchdowns came from week 12 and on, so they were starting to really give him those goal line looks.
Yeah, that situation does scare me a little bit. If you want to draft Murray in the 2nd round, I don't really know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I'm not really on it this year, so if you're in my league and I'm trying to sell them to you right now, I mean, don't pay attention to me. I'm totally full of shit. DeMarco is an unstoppable man beast.
All right, let's take a look at this murky Denver Broncos situation.
We are getting into the murks.
So we got C.J. Anderson, we got Booker, we got Jamal Charles, who still isn't even running full speed.
I'm not even convinced he's going to make the 53-man.
I don't think he is.
I really don't. I think he's cooked. I think it's done. And that's fine. I mean, you know, it was what it was, and now it's over. Great. I mean, that's what happens, right?
Right off into the sunset. All right, what about a little... I think this is the year, though, that Powell overtakes the Forte.
They better. I mean, if they're going to commit to him, I really think to go... I mean, I know Powell isn't a young buck either. He's like 30 as well.
Yeah, he's like 28,
yeah,
29.
He's not really a young buck, but he doesn't have the mileage, you know. He's like that old Buick that's been driven around by that old lady just to church and the... grocery store, so you can get him on the Jeep.
It's 1998, but it's only got 10,000 miles.
You know, he's got a few more years left in him because the miles are so low. And then, you look at these Powell and these Forte spreads, and it's pretty fierce.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at Powell had 5.5 yards per carry. We're looking at 3.7 for Matt Forte. I mean, if that's not saying things, I don't really know what is. And we got 80, in the last 4 weeks, Powell turned it on. I know Forte was dinged up there, but I mean, when Powell got the rock, he showed what he could do with it. 82 carries, 411 yards, 21 receptions, 141 more yards through the air, and 3 touchdowns in those last 4 weeks. I mean, that's coming at you.
You think we got a little Forsett possibility from the Powell and the old guy coming out of nowhere?
I mean, we told you about Powell last year with my Hunaba. The Hunaba. I got so excited about Powell, I just got all tongue-tied. The Hunaba. And I'm convinced, I mean, if you had him last year, you held on to him and it was looking dark. But if you had him and you were like, I'm going to flex play this guy in the playoffs, I mean, you were just raking it.
He had a 30-point game in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, and then like he doubled it. He went into the Niners, and then the next week he went against the Dolphins, and he was just catching. He caught like 13 balls. It was insane.
right, what do we think? We got to dig some guys up here, talk about some real bums out there.
Oh, one more dagger and forte, you know. Let's just bring the shovel out for him. We'll just stick it in him, you know. He's done. We're talking about 8 games last year under 11 PPR, you know, woof, you know. We're talking 7 of those 8 games were under 8.4 PPR points or lower, so God.
Keep the shovel out, though,
Keep
'cause
it-
we got some real bums coming
Keep
up
it
that
to
we're
him.
digging up for you.
Oh, giving it to him, baby. All right, we hit it off with the shovel dick bums. We'll go Spencer Ware. And I know he's kind of going in these drafts, and people are kind of, you know, high on it.
People are saying, you know what I mean? I saw some
Jamal
that was
Charles
like
is out
third
of
round.
Jamal Charles is out of town, and I don't care who gives a shit.
It was last year.
It was
too.
last year. He's done. So, but this is what we got with Spencer Ware. We're looking at 214 carries. We're looking at 921 yards. You know, 3 touchdowns, which is shitty. Then we got 4.3 yards a carry, which, you know, isn't so bad. But then we start getting bad.
We dive deeper in.
Oh, you gotta dig deeper into these things to really find out the root of the evil on these motherfuckers sometimes.
This guy,
Oh my goodness.
he had one 100-yard rushing game on the season. 33 balls, which is crazy because, like, what was it? The first week he had, what, 7 catches?
7. So he
Week
only
one.
had 26 catches in the other 13 games.
Average 2, he had 2 catches a game
Not good.
after the 7 in the first game.
For a guy you thought coming out catching those 7 balls, you're like, man, this is going to be my PPR. This is going to be my running back 2 deluxe. I got a steal in the mid to late rounds. Well, it just didn't go over. It just didn't go over. The guy had 100 total yards in a game, only once in a game. Wait, what am I saying?
He did it.
He didn't. He didn't at
Not
all.
even one.
Not once. Didn't go over 100 total yards in a game after week 7. Didn't have over 80 yards rushing in a game after week 6. And he only had 3 receptions once, and it was that week 1 we were just talking about. And, oh, what do you have, 7? What is this?
Forget how he started it.
Forget it.
I mean, but another guy, they drafted Kareem Hunt. They're loving it.
Oh, yeah. Screw Spencer Ware. Screw it all. If you're going to look to get a Kansas City running back on the flyer, on the cheap, you got to go Kareem Hunt. He's going like
have
the
to.
12th, 13th round. I think I was scooping him up in those last few mock drafts I did. This I'm a fucking mess out there today. All right, one more.
We got more bumps. So let's take a look at Yeldon here. We hit on Fournette. Yeldon, oh my goodness. Keep in mind, these stats I'm about to tell you with TJ Yeldon, he played 15 games.
Oh, he
Okay?
did.
He played practically the whole season. This guy had less than 500 rushing yards. 0 100-yard games. 3.6 yards a carry. This guy has had 5 touchdowns in his career. And I know that's only 2 years, but 5 in 2 years.
Fournette has to be dominating these touches.
We're talking LaDainian Tomlinson going
just
out
look
saying
at
that Fournette's going to get 12 to 15 touchdowns as a rookie.
Bring the photo back up here. Look at him and tell me this man child.
What we got?
What do we got? Bring this back
This
up.
boy up here.
You're
This
telling
is,
me this guy is gonna take the starting job from TJ Yeldon and the likes of, like, is Chris Ivory even in town anymore?
He's there. They've got him because if they cut him, they're not saving money until next year.
All right.
After the season, they'll
warm
cut him.
bodying out
But
there.
this boy, he's my twin out there. LaDainian Tomlinson saying 12 to 15 touchdowns, and if that's the case, I'm in love with it.
Ooh.
That's kind of a hot take, LT, but I love you for
the
it.
Jags rushing touchdowns. That's tight. That's tight.
But, one last thing about the Yeldon. Guess how many 20-yard runs he had?
None. I bet it's got to be none, right?
It's 0. None. No 20-yard runs for the Yeldon. That's why you're probably going to get the 3rd most rushes this year on the team.
One more shovel. I'm gonna put it away. We got Jeremy Hill. I mean, he's done. He's done. Let's just talk. 2 games over 100 yards, 3.8 yards a carry, which is higher than I thought it was gonna be. He has 9 touchdowns, and his touchdowns have just been carrying him like his whole career. Somehow they just keep giving this Dick Cheese the ball 3 times in a row at the 1-yard line. I don't know why they do these things.
Well, and the Tim Gerhardt.
Under 10 PPR points, 7 games last year, and only 3 games over 15 PPR points.
Oh.
It's not very well. With 9 touchdowns, he only got 15 PPR points 3 times and 9 touchdowns. That is ridiculous.
That's horrendous.
He only had 4 yards of carry in a game. We're not talking about season. Somehow he got 3.8 on the season. But he only had 4.1 yards of carry in 3 games.
So that's why they bring in the woman beating, punching Joe Mixon. And you know what? I'm feeling Joe Mixon this year. I think that if you're looking at Leonard Fournette, you're looking... I mean, I don't even know if I'm truly in love with
McCaffrey.
the boom bust of McCaffrey.
I think Mixon my number 2.
I think Mixon might be 2,
back.
maybe Dalvin Cook 3, McCaffrey 4.
Yeah, I'm feeling the Cook business too. We're going to hit on those dudes heavy in the NFC running backs. I mean, totally. I think Mixon might be. I mean, I think Fournette. I mean, Mixon could possibly take the number 1 rookie spot from me just because the Jaguars are so goddamn awful sometimes. But that's it. I mean, if Fournette can get if Fournette's going to be number 1, and I think Mixon is clearly number 2. I
think talent-wise, I mean, this guy easily could have been a top 10 pick if he didn't have off-field issues. This guy is going to be the 3-down back for the Bengals. If Gino comes back, which he will probably mid-season, he might get some catches every now and then, but he's not going to be running the ball. Joe Mixon, by then, I think his talent will be showing that he's the man there. And he's looking at minimum 15 to 20 touches starting out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Gio's not going to be on the football field week 1. And I think they've fallen out of favor with Hill. I mean, Rex Burkhead, I don't even know if Rex Burkhead was still there. I don't even know if Jeremy Hill would even make the 53.
That is true. I mean, Rex Burkhead, I mean, you're looking at Hugh Jackson saying that Rex Burkhead could flourish in the Patriots system and is probably one of the best running backs that he's coached.
I mean, if you want to take a last 2 or 3 round flyer, right before you take your kicker or something, I mean, get up on some Rex Burkhead.
If you're talking 20 round, 12 teamers, get that 19th round Rex Burkhead.
Why not? He's a Patriot player in the 19th round. I mean, whatever. If you're going to...
I mean, where else LeGarrette Blount be taken? I'm not saying he's going to push for 18 touchdowns.
We got a couple more guys that are...
A couple more dudes to hit on here.
Both Raven players, whatever. They're saying Terrence West going to have a starting job. But I'm not really in love with anything Ravens right now. And if you're looking to get another PPR late-round guy, I guess Danny Woodhead coming off ACL.
Yeah, he's probably not going to be back for week 1. But later on, this is a guy who could definitely produce for you down the stretch.
Yeah. Not really in love with anything Baltimore.
They got the suspension from Kenneth Dixon out there, who I feel like him and Woodhead are kind of the same guy. They're both PPR plays, but
they gave Joe Flacco money and then they gave him nothing.
They might be getting him some Jeremy Maclin here. It sounds like
they better. I mean, my goodness.
Talk about Rashard Perriman maybe being a late-round flyer out there.
Yeah, I like the Perriman late-round flyer. I was on him his rookie season, and he just, never played a game.
It was the balding, so he had to cut the dreads. And
He was holding on to him for too long.
I think Blake Bortles made him look too good and at UCF out there.
Blakey. All right. Is that about ended up there?
I think that's going to hit them all there.
We'll be back later this week to hit you with some NFC running backs.
Running backs part 2. We're going to hit you out. We got some real big names in that. We got the David Johnsons out there. We got the Elliots. We got some appetizing rookies for you.
There is more sexy boy rookies out there.
We got, we got the Cook out there.
Some Jordan Howard, the best player.
Even the Ty Montgomery sneaking up boards.
Sometimes those best players on those bad teams aren't a bad thing. I don't like it.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon. Running backs part 2. Check us out on the Twitter, on the Instagram. Subscribe below. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again soon.